Hello, another YouTube video, but it isn't really for YouTube, it's for the website. Because I started writing an article and there were too many brackets or asterisks for footnotes or things like that, so I thought I'd make a video. I'm firing off Financial Times, Alphaville links every day to an amount of interesting newspaper articles or blog sites, and one of them has gone to the Library of Economics and Liberty. And Bryan Caplan, if you're a kind of libertarian American type, you probably know of him. And he's often on Econ Talk with Russ Roberts. Anyway, he's written this article thing called Always Keep Your Eye on Production. Now, it's, to my mind, typical libertarian stuff. Let's go. As you know, this is one of the brackets, reading the website, that I've got a bit of a downer on libertarians. Hayek, in the beginning, came up with this idea that I think is sound, solid and good. Thumbs up. It is that the economy is too complicated to understand. Fair enough. We can go with that. I can go with that. But then the libertarian types take that and kind of say, or directly say, the economy is too difficult to understand, so we shouldn't try and regulate it. We shouldn't try and do anything with it. We should just let the free market do its thing. And I don't think that necessarily follows on from the correct assumption that we cannot understand the economy. Right, I'll start reading this and see how far in we need to go. It isn't far. As a child, I was bad at baseball. I'll read it anyway. I was bad at baseball because my mind wandered. Adults and teammates tried to improve my performance with a classic adage, always keep your eye on the ball. I didn't change, but their advice was excellent nonetheless. So you can see he's going to give the thing that we should keep our eye on. In the economy, note. Laymen often criticize economics for its arcane complexity. When I talk with non-economists, though, so many gravitate towards Rube Goldberg stories. Those are just kind of convoluted, tricky, made-up, held together with sticky tape stories. Random example. Yesterday, someone suggested to me that failing to fire underperforming government employees is actually economically beneficial because secure jobs sustain the middle class, which is the crucial bedrock of our economy. And that, I think, is just writing, as in, I try not to do it, but you're always tempted. You just set up this straw man of, I bet nobody mentioned it to him yesterday, he's just thought of an example of what would be wholly uneconomical in his view, which is to keep employed government employees that aren't doing anything particular. So that's his straw man that he's set up. When I encounter stories like this, I reply with an adage I urge my fellow economists to adopt. Always keep your eye on production. Always keep your eye on production. Whenever analysing an economic problem, you should, by default, ignore long chains of social causation and ignore distribution. Don't worry about that. Instead, remember that mass production is the root cause of mass consumption. That's quite clever, but, you know, I'll do it again because you've probably started to fall asleep. Instead, remember that mass production is the root cause of mass consumption. He loves the idea of mass consumption, and obviously you can't have it unless there's been mass production in front of it to produce the things that we're going to mass consume. Then ask yourself, this is the end, so you can wake up again. How will whatever we're talking about change the total amount of stuff produced? This is typical libertarian and unfortunately Austrian economic shit. So we've done a bit of libertarian. It's Austrian. Austrian economics often goes on a desert island, you know, palm tree, fisherman, hut. One man goes out fishing, the other man stays on the beach, sitting in the sun, smoking a joint, if they've grown the marijuana. The fish-producing man is the hero, and the marijuana smoker is the bum, because the fisherman is producing fish. Or if someone has stayed at home and built a hut, they're producing a hut and is a hero. Production is everything. I ask myself at this stage, well, we know he's American. American production, let's say call it manufacturing, is what employment now percentage of total? 10%? I think it's just under, is it 9%? So is 90% of employment in America which doesn't produce stuff? What is it? Is it useless? Now, I'm making this video. I've started in a kind of a YouTube way. I'd forgotten that it's really for the website. Sorry, website people, where I'm normally a bit more concise. The think for today is there's always this confusion that we've had on the site of we know about the problems that the West have got, but how come things are still holding together, etc., etc., etc. I'll use the Americans, FDA, say the FDA. Probably would be accused by Bryan Caplan of being in the way of dynamic production of things. Big Pharma, that I mentioned in an article a day or so ago, he would want, being a libertarian type, that FDA didn't get in the way, and he would say that Big Pharma would rely on their reputation not to be tarnished, and therefore not put out dodgy drugs. They would not put out the dodgy drugs so as they would not tarnish their own reputation. They don't tarnish their reputation so they can keep sales going. They keep sales going to make profit, and profit is what makes everything so wonderful. What I'm saying here, the crux of this video, the FDA is crucial for the civilization of the United States, as are cops, nurses, very annoying people at the town hall that say you've got to fill this form in to be able to do that, or this, or that, or the other. It is the civilization of America that gives the dollar its buying power. As long as people think America is civilized, they will use the dollar. They will accept the dollar. Here's a thinky. Using the FDA as representative of these bureaucratic ball brain bollockheads that we all hate, I would say that the FDA is more important to the power of the dollar than the Fed is. The FDA and its like represent the civilization of America, and makes it so that 90% of Americans can work in non-production. And how many work in production in China? 70%? So the dollar, little bits of paper that are printed up for no particular reason, any old how, can be sent off around the world, and the stuff that Caplan likes to consume so much, the stuff he likes to consume, he can be a teacher in wherever he is, probably Chicago, and accept dollars and have his dollars sent out around the world so he can consume stuff. Those dollars are strong, more because of the FDA than the Fed, and much, much, much more than anything to do with any countervailing, counterbalancing, or any reason to do with American production, manufacturing of anything at all. American manufacturing's got nothing to do with it. The FDA and representatives of civilization have got most to do with it, and the Fed faffs around here pretending to do things. It's the cops and the law courts and the FDA and their like that give the dollar its buying power. So other people will work for American little bits of paper. That's the video. Thanks.